cats, welcome back to another episode of Chat About Tay. I'm your host, Bella, and in this episode, we're going to be chatting about Taylor Swift's nomination for the Songwriters Hall of Fame. So we are just a few weeks away from Taylor's docuseries on Disney Plus. It's going to be coming out on December 12th. I'm really excited. We did have a little, before we go into the Songwriters Hall of Fame, we did have a little extra commercial come out for the docuseries that was just showcasing a couple different clips from the show. And the last episode, I talked all about the trailer, the full length trailer and everything. So we're not going to really go into detail with that, but I thought that was cool. We had another little trailer that came out. So I was very excited about that. But yeah, on November 14th, Newsweek wrote an article about the list of songs that Taylor Swift picked for the Songwriters Hall of Fame consideration. So yeah, I wanted to talk about that because I thought that was really interesting. And I guess you have to be considered for the Songwriters Hall of Fame, so it's not guaranteed that she will be selected, I guess. But I thought that was a cool thing about Taylor, and I'm not going to be doing an episode next week because it's Thanksgiving. So I thought that this was a cool way to sort of take before we go on a little break and before we start talking about the docuseries. So I'm really excited. Obviously excited about the docuseries. But yeah, I saw this online and thought that this was a really cool thing. So we're just going to talk about the songs that she submitted. So the website for the Songwriters Hall of Fame says that the Songwriters Hall of Fame's ongoing mission is to celebrate and honor the contributions and legacies of songwriters of all genres of music while developing and nurturing the next generation of songwriters through master sessions, songwriting craft forums, scholarships, and digital initiatives. So the Songwriters Hall of Fame was established in 1969. It's just a really cool way to honor songwriters because obviously musicians get honored through the Grammys and through other award shows and stuff. And you can be a singer or the front of a band or just in a band and receive accolades for your songs or for your, albums or whatever. But I think the real art of music and the real measure of a true musician, other than being able to play an instrument very well, is being able to write songs. And I'm not discrediting any artists who don't write their own music, because like I said, you can be a really great vocalist or a really great guitar player or piano player or whatever and be a really fantastic artist and musician. But I personally think that the songwriting is one of the most important things about music. So I have always loved Taylor Swift's songwriting. I think I mentioned this in some of the other episodes, but I personally think that the magic of Taylor Swift is her songwriting. Obviously, I think she's a good singer. She's a good guitar player, piano player, but the real magic of her and why I think so many people like her so much is because she's able to write songs that are so deeply personal, but then they're also relatable at the same time. So even if you've never gone through a heartbreak, her music is still relatable in a sense. So she's just able to capture so many different emotions, even if the song is so clearly about her specific relationship or something that specifically is happening to her. She's able to just capture those emotions and those moments that make people be able to relate to her music. So I'm really excited about her nominations. So I believe that she was the one who submitted the nominations. And like I said, you don't get automatically picked. You do have to be selected and everything. So we're going to discuss the 5 songs that she submitted. So she actually received the Hall David Starlight Award from the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2010 and is nominated for full membership now. So that was really cool that she already kind of had won an award with them as well. And she would be the first person to graduate from the Starlight Award to full member status if she becomes inducted into the Hall of Fame, which is pretty cool. So she already kind of has her foot in the door there. So if she is to be inducted, she will be inducted in 2026, and she is under the category of performing songwriters. So there's quite a bit of people in this category with her as well. I don't know the exact qualifications or the justifications for selecting people, and I don't know if all of these people will be selected. I don't really know about that, but she is like I said, in the performing songwriters. So there's also a category called non-performing songwriters. So if you're just a songwriter who writes for like other people, that would be the category that you would be in. So before we get into it, I know I've kind of been teasing it. She would actually be the youngest person to receive this award. I guess it's been quite a while since someone as young as her has been inducted, so that would be really cool. So to be considered for induction, a writer's first commercially released song must be at least 20 years old. So her debut single was Tim McGraw, and that came out in 2006. So that means she would be like just making the cutoff for the eligibility of 2026. So it makes sense that she would be submitting now because this is the first opportunity that she would be able to be inducted. And it also says in another article that she is the youngest artist to ever appear on the ballot. So yeah, this is just really cool and exciting. So without further ado, I have been teasing this for quite some time. So her 5 songs that she has submitted, and this is just in the order on this particular website, but the first song is All Too Well, the 10-minute version. So, I mean, I would be shocked if she didn't submit either versions of All Too Well. The next one is Blank Space, which I also agree with. The next one, Anti-Hero. And some people online were saying that that was sort of a weird choice. So, interesting. The next one is Love Story, which, yeah, I agree with this one. And again, we'll go into detail in a second. And then the last song is The Last Great American Dynasty, which, yeah, I think that's an interesting choice as well. So, yeah, those are the songs. So, again, All Too Well 10-minute version, Blank Space, Anti-Hero, Love Story, and The Last Great American Dynasty. So, it's quite a variety of albums as well. There's only, there's no duplicates from albums. So, we have Red, 1989, Midnight, Fearless, and Folklore, which, I mean, I think her other albums also have songs that I think could have been considered as well. But I mean, those are really great songs. So obviously, All Too Well 10-minute version, like, why would she not pick that song? That All Too Well is often discussed as being her best written song, and I definitely agree with that. And the 10-minute version is obviously better because there's more lyrics in it. So I completely understand her putting All Too Well 10-minute version in there. Normally, if somebody comes to me and says, I've never listened to Taylor Swift's music before, give me a couple songs, I would give them All Too Well, which now it would be 10-minute version, but I would give them All Too Well, and I would actually give them Blank Space as well, and probably Love Story too. So 3 out of those 5 I would give them. So I'm going to give my little opinions on each of these songs. So going more into detail with All Too Well 10-minute version. Like I said, this is her greatest song that she's written. It goes back to what I was saying earlier about the feeling. She is able to capture the feeling of budding love, of the beginning of a relationship, of, trusting this person, doing everything with this person, and then able to transition that into this relationship became something different, and they stopped loving me and I didn't know why. And she conveys the whole cycle of a relationship in that song. And when I'd first listened to All Too Well when it came out on Red, I had never gone through like a breakup like that, but I knew what it felt like to be let down by somebody that you care about, and the emotions that she was putting into that song, I understood. And then after I went through my first heartbreak, then that song really started to make a lot more sense. And yeah, I mean, it's not just her best written song, but it so perfectly captures like Taylor Swift and what her songwriting is, and how she is as a musician, and her craft is like perfectly put into that particular song. So I agree with that. The next one, Blank Space, like I've mentioned many times, this is my number 1 favorite Taylor Swift song of all time. So I'm really glad that my favorite was added to this list. And I was actually thinking about discussing this in my top 10 favorite songs video, but we'll talk about it now. Blank Space, another reason why I love this song, and another reason why I would tell people to listen to this song out of all of her discography, is, again, I think it is a quintessential Taylor Swift song in the sense that it is a very catchy song. The beat, the music, all of it is just bopping, okay? It's so good, it's so catchy. But the lyrics, on the surface, the song seems very unserious, and it seems sort of kind of goofy, but that's the point. And the reason why it works so well is because of the fact that it is a satire about her own life. And I think that that is genius. And I think the people, and I think I mentioned this before, I think the people who did not understand this song when it first came out are the people who just don't really understand Taylor Swift as like the person, and they're just seeing her the way the media sees her, and that is the point. Like the point was to write this song and make fun of the way that people perceive her. And always thought after Reputation came out that like Blank Space in a sense kind of like fits on Reputation too, because it is like, this is the reputation that you've given me and I'm running with it. And that's kind of like what she did with like I Did Something Bad and Look What You Made Me Do and stuff. So I feel like Blank Space is sort of like the precursor to Reputation, so maybe that's also why I like it so much. But it's just a genius song. It's very clever with the lyrics, and it's just so good, and like everything about it, and it's just the cleverness of the way she writes it as like satire, and that's why it's my favorite song, and I'm very, very glad it was on this list, because I do think it's like genius writing. The next one, Antihero, I was a little surprised as well when I saw this. I don't think it's a bad choice. I mean, she has so many songs and she had to pick 5 of them, but I at the first glance I was like, Antihero, like I love Antihero, it's one of my favorite songs on Midnight, but at first I was like, wait, that's kind of a weird choice. But no, I also think that when you really dissect the lyrics, and I think with Taylor's music, listening to the songs is one thing, but like actually reading the lyrics and fully understanding like what she's actually saying is very important with her music as well. And I do that with a lot of artists. I'll listen to the songs the first time and then I'll read the lyrics and be like, oh wait, this is what this means. This song captures her own insecurities and her own I don't want to say self-loathing, but like self-sabotage in a way. And like it's such a deeply personal song, again written sort of goofily with like, hey, hi, it's me, I'm the problem, it's me. Like that's like funny, but if you really listen to it and really understand like what she's saying, like she's saying that like she's the issue here, and like maybe I'm actually the problem, and like I'm the one that's wrong here, and the world is right for viewing me this way, and it's just such like a deeply personal song. And even the bridge with like, I have that dream that my daughter-in-law kills me for the money, like that is so sad. Like, and I don't know if that's an actual nightmare that she's had, I would imagine it is, but like that is such a personal thing to put in the song, and like the way it's presented in the song is kind of comical, and even in the like music video they kind of make fun of it, but like when you actually listen to those words, like that is very sad. Like she has a deep-seated fear of like her family or people that she cares about only caring about her because she's rich and has influence, and that is like, that's so deeply sad. So I do understand why she put Antihero. I think people were a little thrown off by that, but I do understand why she ended up putting that one in there. And then Love Story, I think that she probably put this because this was her first #1 hit. This was like the song that put her really on the map. Like obviously Tim McGraw did very well on like country radio and stuff, but Love Story was kind of the first song that put her on the map outside of country music. I think that's sort of when other people were kind of paying attention to her. And it wasn't really until I would say like Red in 1989 that she got more fans like way outside of country, but Love Story, like that song was everywhere. And again, I think it's a really cool story. Not, no pun intended there. But I think it's a cool way of talking about Romeo and Juliet, obviously, because that's like where the inspiration is. But using the Romeo and Juliet story and concept as a way to describe the way she was feeling, and because she really felt like her parents were like treating her like Juliet, like keeping her away from somebody. And obviously that like resonated with her. But I think that song is also very poetically written, and I think it's just very clever. It's a very just well constructed song, and it paints such a beautiful picture in your mind. Like you can see like what is happening like when you listen to it. So I agree with her for that one. And then the final one, Last Great American Dynasty. I think other people were also kind of like, why did she put that one on there? But this one, when I first heard this song, I had no idea who like, I almost said Agatha Harkness. That's the character from Agatha all along. Rebecca Harkness, excuse me. I had no idea who Rebecca Harkness was. I didn't know anything about her. I only really know about her because of Taylor. And so the first time I listened to this song, the whole time I'm listening to this, I'm like, this is a very interesting story. Is this a real person? And I, looked it up afterwards and I was like, yeah, this is like obviously a real person, based on what happens in the song too. Um, but I was like, is this like a real person? Like, was this all just going along with like the folklore vibes? And is she just writing about some random woman that's kind of like, in a sense, is this supposed to be a metaphor for her life? I was confused the first time I was listening to it. And then at the end of the song where she was like, the house sat quietly on that beach and then it was bought by me. And I'm like, oh my God. Not only is this a real story, this woman who owned this home weirdly had a similar career to you and a similar life and was perceived in the same way that you are. And what a poetic, weird, cosmic coincidence that she was living in this woman's home, or the home that this woman used to own. And so I think just the writing of that song, and like I was saying, like you didn't know if it was actual fiction or not, is just so interesting. And then again, like Love Story, it paints such a picture. Like when you listen to that song, you can see what she's describing. And it's just like the cleverness of like the lyrics and using, poetic words and stuff to describe things. It's not, a lot of her music is not just very blunt. She uses a lot of metaphors and different types of lyrics to describe things. So I can understand why she put that song on there. So I just looked through her entire discography because I was trying to see, are there songs that I would pick for this list? I think out of all the songs, I do think that those 5 are really good choices. And, you could make an argument for almost every single one of her songs. But the one song that kind of stood out to me when I was just looking through all of this would be The Prophecy, which is from the Tortured Poets Department anthology, which is not one of my favorite albums. And The Prophecy is not one of my like top favorite songs by Taylor, because I have mentioned before that I prefer like the boppy songs and like the happy, ones with good beats and that kind of stuff. So a lot of the songs that were like lower on my list are like the slower ones. And that's just because if I'm going to listen to something over and over again, it needs to be like an upbeat song. But songs that I think are my favorite versus the ones that are like the best written or like her best songs are different lists. So I would think if we were going to add another one, I would add The Prophecy, because I think that song is one of the most poetic songs that she's written, but it also is such a clever and interesting way to describe a feeling of, I don't want anything else in life other than somebody to love me, and nothing else in this world matters except my love. And when am I gonna have this? I feel like I've wasted away and I'm like, nobody's going to fulfill this. And I'm just left here to be alone. And I think that song is it's the antithesis of Wish List from Life of a Showgirl, because it's kind of like Wish List is like, now that she has the person and this prophecy has been fulfilled, she's finally like, yeah, nothing else matters because of this. But before it was like, please God, like send me this person because I don't have this. Like all I have is the material. So that would be the song that I would add, I think. And again, that's not even one of my favorite songs by her, but it is, I believe, one of the best written songs by her and one of the most poetic songs by her. Again, super cool that she's going to be considered. I really hope that she does become accepted because, obviously I care about her, but I think she is a fantastic songwriter. I think she definitely deserves to be in this Hall of Fame, and I do think it would be cool if she was like currently the youngest person to be in the Hall of Fame as well. And this is just such a cool thing. And just what an amazing way to be honored and to, really showcase how you're not just a good singer or a good musician, but like your craft is really the songwriting. And that is something that's obviously very important to her. So this is just a really cool opportunity. So that is it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed hearing about the 5 songs that she submitted. I hope that you enjoyed hearing my reasoning for why I believe that she picked those songs. And yeah, I'm so excited again for the docuseries. So the next episode will be out on the 12th or the 13th, and we'll be talking all about the first few episodes of the docuseries. So, like always, stay safe, stay classy, and I'll chat again with you soon. Goodbye. If you enjoyed this episode, you can find us on Spotify, Good Pods, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. See you there.